welcome back to a special episode of the Navs Effect Podcast. I'm your host, Naveen Ganglani. Today, we are joined by an assistant coach of the UST Growling Tigers, one of the league leading teams in UAAP Season 88 men's basketball. Assistant coach Juno Sauler, who's been on this podcast before, and someone who has won a championship as head coach in the UAAP before will join us to discuss what has geared this early hot start for UST and talk about other basketball matters. So it's a fun, intellectual episode when it comes to hoops. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We're now back and joined by Coach Juno Sauler of UST. Coach, thanks for joining me. How are you doing, man?
I'm good. Thanks again for inviting me, and good day to all your listeners.
So, Coach, 4-1, 5 games into the UAAP season. You guys were active in the off season, had some new recruits, rebuilt the team to some degree. But are you even just a little bit surprised that you guys have only lost once through 5 games, and that one loss you had, you could have probably won as well?
Yeah, the UAP is very unpredictable. Lots of surprises. You'll never know which teams will end up in the first, second spot after the first round, and there might be a big turnover in the second round. So we're just trying to take it one game at a time and try to take care of business. If the end result is favorable, we'll take it. If not, we look at what we need to improve on and what didn't go well, and hopefully do better the next day.
When you were watching this team weeks leading up to the season, did you already see the early signs that they would be playing to this level? Or would you say the guys in the roster took it up even a notch once the UAAP itself started?
The most surprising really was, well, even the start of the year, we were trying to implement this system where it was really fast paced. But that time we didn't have Collins yet. So the question was when Collins came in, if he would be able to keep up the pace with how the locals were running, because at the time we had Peter Osang. But then when Collins came in, I think he prepared himself in terms of his body and what he could do. He was able to adjust when we went to the Korea trip, and even when we came back, I think he tried to lose weight so that he could keep up with the pace. So more than anything else, I think the most surprising thing was him being able to adjust to our pace.
Was he struggling at first to keep up with the pace before he lost that weight? Because he lost about 20 to 25 pounds. We wrote a feature about that in All Star about his diet, his training with True Focus. And in the Asia Basket tournament, when you guys made the finals, he still looked bigger than how he looks now. And he looked like there were some possessions that he couldn't quite keep up with the pace. So is that a point of emphasis for him, which was to focus on getting trimmer and lighter so that he could play with the rest of the guys?
We got a chance to talk to Collins after Asia Basket, but when he joined the team during that time, I think he only practiced with us for a week or two. Uh, so after the Asia Basket, we were talking with Collins, and we told him that he needed to keep up with the locals. So I think it was from his own personal goal that he would lose weight. I didn't get to talk to him about it, but then I just found out because I was asking our strength and conditioning coach what his weight was, and then I just found out that he lost that big amount of that weight. So I guess that helped him keep up with the pace of the locals.
It's not often that someone who, even as big and good as Collins was in high school and entering the college level, it's not immediate for a lot of FSAs to make that kind of impact. Where, as of today, we're recording this Monday, October 13th, Collins actually leads the whole UAAP when it comes to the statistical points race. If we were under the old rules, right now, he would be league MVP. But right now, he's the leader and the front runner for best FSA. but he's also eligible for the Rookie of the Year award. So that makes it even more remarkable that he's coming in, he's a rookie straight out of high school, and you can make a case that he's already the best FSA in the UAAP. He's definitely playing for one of the top championship contenders in the UAP right now, and you guys at UST. And you've been around college basketball enough. How do you know when a guy is ready to assimilate right away? And what made Colin such a natural fit?
What's nice with Collins is he doesn't need the ball to be effective, which makes well him being able to complement Fortsky, Nick, even KP, who are very good guys in terms of handling the ball and creating for themselves or for their teammates. So Collins is just there hanging around. He'll set ball screens. If he's open on the roll, Fortsky and KP will find him. If he doesn't get it and someone else takes a shot, he's there for offensive rebounds. So what's really good about him is his presence. I guess that's why he's there in terms of statistical points. Is he gets very high percentage in terms of field goals because of offensive rebounds and drop passes. But once in a while, when things aren't going well with the guards, we try to get the ball to him and have him create for himself or for his teammates also. So just having him there as a big presence is already big for us. Because it gives a problem, I think, to certain opponents who are trying to match up with either Collins or trying to match up with their guards.
He also seems to be a very intelligent man off the court, well spoken, quite eloquent for his age, actually, has interesting perspectives. And you're someone who likes to have interesting perspectives as well. I know that you read a lot, you try to consume knowledge as much as possible. What's Colin's IQ like off the court? How is he like to talk with, to spend time with? Is he, would you say that there's more than what meets the eye when it comes to your FSA?
What's surprising about Collins, so when he joined the team, we weren't talking much about basketball yet because he was just practicing with the team. But we get to chat in Instagram, and again, one thing that's surprising about him is basketball IQ. So he gets to read the floor very well. Um, that's why we like him having the ball also and having him create. We're not afraid of him making bad decisions. He's proven it in practice. And even in our trips in Korea against professional Korean basketball teams, he's shown that he understands and he knows how to play the game.
Has he already asked you, Coach, when are you guys gonna let me start taking pick and pop 3 pointers?
I We talked about that one because there was one practice he was shooting threes. I asked him what his percentage was. I said that percentage will get us nowhere. So he said for this year's UAAP, just practice first on points in the paint, maybe at the most 10 footers, maybe. And I said after the season, then we'll start working on your pick and pop threes. Now, if you can get a good percentage, and if you think that's winnable and that will help our team, then we'll allow you to shoot those threes. But as for now, this season, we're not letting you shoot threes. Unless maybe you have a 2 second, 1 second shot clock, maybe.
I bet he's in his mind he was like, yeah, okay, but next year I'll show you guys. I can hit some 3 pointers too. What was his percentage when you asked him? What did he say his percentage was?
He said he'll make 9 out of 10. So
Classic Collins.
you know what we did? We stopped practice. We gave him the ball and told everyone to stop shooting. And we told Collins, go. Okay, prove us 9 out of 10.
And he took 3 point shots.
No, he only did three because he already missed two.
Oh, so he missed 2 out of 3 and he said, okay,
So,
never mind. Forget
so the drill was done. You can't make 9 out of 10.
Just seeing from Instagram stories, the team seems to be so close. The energy in your practices seems to be uplifting and motivating. And it's different when you know you're good as a team compared to when the standings show that you're good as a team as well, right? There's just a little more excitement and energy and optimism and fun and jokes and laughter and practices because the hard work is paying off and the proof is in the way that you guys are performing on the court, which, like I said, the standing shows. How is this locker room? How is this team different compared to the teams you've been a part of in college basketball over the years?
I guess it's also having, guys like Fortsky, guys like Nick who hold the team together. Then you have a good batch of rookies who have good character, like Koji, Benaflor, Charles Buxit, Carl Manding. So you have this group of guys who look out for one another. I think another main reason also is how we have Coach Pido as our leader and how the boys see him as our kumbaga tatay-tatayan, our father in the team. It's also having that everyone. I'm a serious guy, and we can't have all seriousness all the time. And having Coach Pido bring in his humor makes everything light. So it's a good balance of having Coach Pido there. Makes practice a little lighter.
So can you give me an example of how Coach Pido made practice more humorous, how he light up the energy in the room? Was there something he did or joked around with recently?
Uh, Lots of jokes coming from Coach Pido. Sometimes even during halftime. Uh, he'll put one-liners. I can't not remember anything specific, but he'll have one-liners there where everything's so serious. You think all the players are tight. All of a sudden, he'll just have one-liner, and then some guys, they don't know if they're allowed to laugh or not. But then once you see the leaders like Nick and Fortsky smile, then all the other guys will start smiling and laughing, and it just loosens everyone up. So coming out of the locker, instead of having or seeing the players very tight, just having that kind of vibe coming from Coach Pido makes everyone else loose.
And Coach Pido is quick with the one-liner, the witty one-liners sometimes, the jokes that can light up the room immediately, like you said. What's the role of True Focus this season? We know that they're a training group led by Jolo Tamayev. They've trained some great pro ballers like Kiefer, 30, Kobe Paras, who I guess is taking a sabbatical from basketball right now. Even your college standouts like Fortsky, Raylan Torres, right? So what has their role been in cultivating this UST team?
The True Focus group, they come in before practice, so they work with the team in terms of skill development. I don't know if they come in every day, but maybe if we have 5 day a week practice, they'll probably be there 3, 4 times a week. So when the coaches arrive, we'll see the players and True Focus be working on shooting, passing, ball handling. So we give that all to True Focus. Once they're done, then we start with a regular team practice, which might start with viewing. If there's no viewing involved for that day, we just go right away into our warm-ups and then into our team concepts.
So practices are shorter now, 2 to 3 hours compared to 5 to 6 hour practices from back in the day.
Yeah, it's super short. It will depend on the day of the week. Like for example, if we have like today, especially coming from our game against Ateneo Saturday. So we had a break yesterday, but some guys were really tired. Today we just had a 30-minute practice.
Oh wow.
Um,
So
yeah, very quick. Tomorrow it will depend on their recovery and rest today. But sometimes the day before, as long as we see that if they're very sharp already and they're focused, maybe max day before the game will probably be 45 minutes.
so what do you try to accomplish in a 30-minute window or a 45-minute window? Is it basic like walk around, shoot around?
The day before, we probably have 5, 10 minute with contact. Maybe that might be 5-on-5, 3-on-3, 4-on-4 is very little. But if it's like, for example, we have a Saturday game and it's a Tuesday, then more of the 5-on-5 stuff and where we'll have real full-on contact. But like our game against Ateneo last Saturday, our Friday practice was in Blue Eagle Gym. So we had the True Focus group there. They worked on their skills. After that, when the coaches started practice, we just did a lot of 5-on-0. because also the day before, that Thursday when we practiced, the players were very sharp, and the coaches felt that we didn't need to put a lot of stuff in during that Friday practice. So we just basically had them go 5-on-0 and had the feel of the court.
Interesting. Now, I want to get to the team in a little bit, but I want to talk about Nick. Nick has been there for a while now, 5 playing seasons with UST. He's seen the lowest of the lows to maybe this season, what could be the highest of the highs for your team, right? And I always figured that a veteran Nick in his fourth or fifth year would just have the ability to overpower so many of the defenders in the UAP because of his size, his strength, his athletic ability, his ability to finish at the rim. That's why whenever he attacks the paint, I really enjoy watching it compared to when he settles for outside shots. Now he can hit outside shots too, like that crazy pump 3 point shot in that game against Ateneo the other day. But when he just decides he's going to bully you in the paint and use his strength and body to get to the rim, to get fouled or score inside, that humps the offense so much because it gives you that penetration ability that can open up the floor in so many ways. Compared to last season, did you guys have a talk with Nick about, taking more efficient shots, being smarter with where he attacks on the court and just changing his game? Now, personally, I think that when Nick learns how to use his ability to attract defenders to create for other players, to create for teammates, that's when he'll even take another step higher into becoming a more complete player. More than the outside shot, I think that's what he needs to focus on next. But even the version he has now, where he's just trying to relentlessly attack you, like he did against LaSalle, like he did in that second quarter against Ateneo, that just opens up so many things for your team. Was that a point of emphasis?
Yeah, we get to talk with Nick regularly. I get to talk to him, and then we have coaches also assigned to certain players who get to talk. So they get to talk to Nick also. One thing that we're happy with Nick now is, aside from him, like what you've mentioned, his attack mentality and going hard to the basket shows in terms of his 2 point field goal percentage. I'm not really sure what the exact number is, but it's above 50, I think. But then what we're really happy with Nick is his ability to pass now compared to previous years. I think we had one game wherein he had maybe 8 or 9 assists. I think it was against UE. I think it was his career high. So by his game evolving that way, it just makes it harder to defend Nick.
Yeah, I'm looking at these stats right now. In 34 and a half minutes a game, he's averaging a shade under 20 points a contest, 6.2 rebounds, 2.8 assists. He's taken 23 3 point shots. He's only made three. However, in 2 point range, 36 out of 68, which is close to 53% from the field. The free throws remain a work in progress, though, just 62%, but not a lot of college players, as Lasal would attest to, can make a lot of free throws in games. Now, what kind of leadership are you guys seeing from Nick this year? Because in his first few seasons, right, when they weren't winning, and before you and the staff got there, he was a young, you know, spitfire scorer who can get hot in a hurry, microwave. But he wasn't exactly the gather the troops and get everyone sorted out kind of leader yet. And then when Fortsky arrived next year, it seemed like the roles became Fortsky as the floor general and the leader of the team, and Nick is like a higher level of the scorer that we saw to start his career. But this season, he seems to be more vocal. He seems to be taking on more of that leadership mantle, along with Fortsky, hand in hand as the veterans, while uplifting his overall performance too. So was that a point of emphasis as well, telling Nick to be more vocal, being more of a leader? And what kind of leadership examples have you seen from him so far in any of your games this season?
It was very yeah, we get to talk to Nick about that one, telling him that it's his last year. But the time when Fortsky didn't play, our first game against UP, you could see Nick really showing his leadership ability. Yeah, you're correct. Fortsky is the type who would call everyone, have everyone gather around him, and then he'd be talking to them. But Nick is also like that in practice. So sometimes we'd separate Nick and Fort. We have them play against one another, and Fortski would gather his own team. Then you'd see Nick gather his own team, and that's where you'll get to see Nick's leadership abilities. Aside from being very vocal already compared to previous years, but one thing I like about Nick's leadership is he shows it through actions. Um, I think Nick's an underrated defensive player, but he can play defense when he wants to. So it was really a good matchup seeing him and Dom Escobar last Saturday playing against one another. But
Yeah,
yeah, given other guards, scoring guards in other teams, sometimes in the end of the game, we'll tell Nick to match up with them because we're very confident with his defensive abilities.
those battles between Nick's team and Fortski's team in practice must be so competitive. Those are two guys who don't like to lose at all. So I can only imagine that when they compete against each other in practice and the teammates follow suit, that just blends over to the game, right? And now instead of being on separate sides, you have them together. You have extra the competitive fire.
Yeah, what's really nice, yeah, they're very competitive, and more so when they compete against one another. And then you'll see them really how they push their teammates in practice. So once we start separating them, practice the competitiveness that we have in practice just goes up a notch.
Does this UST team remind you of the 2015 UST team that you faced when you were with LaSalle? Remember under Coach Bong de la Cruz that made the finals with Kevin Ferrer, the Kiwag, and just a couple of guys who really fit that roster, that mold. Do you see similarities?
Honestly, I'm sorry, Naveen. I cannot remember 2000, the 2015 UST team.
Did
That
you
was
choose to forget that
oh
season?
yeah, 10 years ago.
They had Kevin Ferrer, Ed the Kiwag. I forgot their FSA
Was it
actually.
still Abdul, or did they change Abdul at that time?
I think he must have left na by then, right? Did he? Or who knows? It's
Can't
tough to say.
remember.
But you're right. It's 10 years ago. But okay, let's rephrase that question then. Does this current team that you guys have remind you of any of the teams you've coached against or coached for before in college ball?
No, one thing also with this team is well, even the style of how they play. When we saw them and we decided, okay, I think this kind of system might be good because of the players that we have. So we decided that we wanted our style of play to be just really fast paced. So you'll see guys like yeah, Nick, Fortsky, KP, just guy like Jello Crisostomo. You see guys just running and running all over the place. I don't know if there you can see a stat, but in terms of possessions and in terms of pace, I think UST is number one. So it can our style of games is really fast paced. That's how the players like it. That's how the players love playing the game, and I think it suits us very well. So this is the first time I've really encountered this kind of a system where just go up and down, up and down, up and down.
So you've taken 231 two-point field goal attempts, 148 three-point field goal attempts, 157 free throws. There's some multiplication there that can probably lead to determining the possessions, but that's definitely up there in the UAAP in terms of getting shots up and pushing the pace. Would you say, coach, that this year's UST team matches or maybe even exceeds your 2013 LaSalle team in talent? Just talent, not capability, because we know what you guys accomplished 12 years ago. But when you look at raw talent, Akowe, Nick, Fortsky, Paranada, Crisostomo, even guys who aren't getting a lot of minutes like Koji, like Mark, they have so much talent. It it must remind you a bit of the overall talent you had with the team you led to the championship with Jeron, with AVO, with Norbert, right?
It would be hard to gauge in terms of talent because the style of play at that time was very different. So not like now. But one thing I can say is the our depth. I think we can go as deep as 13, 14 players.
Correct.
We didn't
Asido,
have,
I even forgot to mention him. Yeah.
yeah, Amiel, yeah, and Amiel, Amiel's probably maybe like a Matt Salem, stretch big, who can play the three, can play the
I see
four.
it. I see
Yeah,
it.
and
Yeah.
but the real difference there is we didn't have an FSA 2013. We didn't like Ben Embala was there in the wings waiting, but didn't wasn't part of the lineup yet. So no one could match. We couldn't match up anyone against Collins. Um, but yeah, the depth and of this team is different, quite different compared to the 2013 LaSalle team.
The amount of set plays you must have called for the 2013 LaSalle team compared to the amount of set plays you call for this UST team now must be night and day in terms of difference.
Super. I was listening to the analyst of our game against Ateneo. I don't know who covered the game, but I could. He was saying like UST just runs a very simple offense. So we actually don't have set plays. Our offense really is based on decision making of the players. We just try to see our best advantage in offense and try to go from there. We trust Fortsky, we trust Nick, we trust KP, guys who have the ball, like even Collins, I mentioned earlier. We trust their decision making and they just make their reads and we go from there. We don't have any set plays in UST.
Was that the case last season too, or was that something you implemented this season?
That was just this season. Coaches had a meeting. We said that this kind of system might be a good fit for us. Coaches agreed. Of course, Coach Pito was there, and we shared all our inputs. And of course, in the end, Coach Pito was like, "Okay, let's do this." So he agreed on what type of system that we would be running, and here we are.
Did you implement this new system as early as when last UAP season ended, or was it just sometime during the off season?
Started maybe around Feb. So January we were running something like a 5 out motion offense. And then sometime Feb, we decided to change it a little bit because we weren't sure also at that time who our FSA would be because our FSA last year hasn't returned at that time. So we had Peter most of the time. And because of Peter's motor, and so that's when we decided, okay, we just have to push the pace. And with Peter in there, it probably would be helpful for the team.
Now, would you say, coach, that when you decide, okay, we're not going to call so many set plays, we're just going to let the players play on instinct and talent and natural feel of the game, considering at what stage of lives they are, late teens, early 20s, you could say that maybe their IQs aren't as developed yet as pro level players. So when it comes to interpreting complex systems or remembering certain sets, it can be difficult sometimes. Have you discovered through this process of free flowing, free willing basketball for your team that sometimes college players can be at their best when you just decide, here's the ball, go do your thing. We're not gonna micromanage you guys too much.
What's different also with what we've been trying to implement is, okay, so we don't have any plays, but we have concepts within our offense. So from those concepts, we drill it every time in practice, and that's where we get to test the decision making of the players. So, like for example, we have a player who gets involved in a pick and roll and cannot make very good decisions. So we allow him to grow, but then at a certain point wherein we'll say, okay, at this point, you have a hard time making decisions in this type of situations. We won't allow you to get into that situation first. There are some who have shown that they've improved in terms of their decision making in certain situations, in certain constraints. Then that makes us happy when we see players develop, and then that's when we start allowing them. Okay, you're allowed to be doing this in ball games, and that's part of their growth. So as long as we see that they're improving in practice, we'll allow them to do it during games.
Do you feel that the players play with more joy with that concept of free flowing basketball?
Yeah, I think they enjoy how it is. It's very different compared to a play wherein, for example, okay, Naveen, you bring the ball here. Okay, pass it to Juno. After that, you give a down screen here. Seems very robotic to some players compared to, okay, Naveen, you have the best advantage. Go and do your stuff. If the defense collapses, I'm here. I'm going to be wide open waiting for your assist. If the defense closes out hard on me, I'll attack. Maybe Naveen, you can space a little bit. If you're free, I'll give you the ball. You're capable of making a 35% 3-point shot. Go ahead and shoot it.
Coach, you really admired my basketball skills right now. Just there. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. One of the concepts, am I right to assume, is to always have two guys spreading the floors in the corner sections. Usually it's Chrysostom or Lemit or Asido.
Yeah, we put a lot of emphasis in spacing, and it can be anyone. It doesn't have to be Chrysostoma, it doesn't have to be Lemit. It can be anyone. So as long as they space the floor properly, and which is something that we do in practice every single day. So for them to uh, really get the feel of what we're trying to preach, but it can be anyone. It can be Collins also. If Collins wants to space out in the corner, that's fine. And we teach Collins and we put him in situations where if the defense plays him this way, this is how we can attack it. If the defense plays him a certain type of way, this is another way of how he can solve it. So we try to do it in an environment, in a practice environment wherein we'll allow them to feel different types of defenses so that when they encounter it in the game, they already know how to attack certain situations.
So you're gonna have Collins take corner 3-pointers this season, is
Next
what you're
year,
saying, Coach.
yeah, next
Next
year.
year, not this year.
Collins, Collins, you got to work at it.
Hey, that corner shot though. I mean, if he develops that, just imagine how scary that is
Maybe
for the
corner
rest of
three
the
on
league.
top of the key. If he pick and pops top of the three and he's open, maybe.
Or maybe that drag 3-pointer too, right? Where he kind of lags
Yeah,
behind in transition.
like Jello. Jello, when we came in, Jello Crisostomo didn't have a very consistent 3-point shot. Now, even if with a 22-second shot clock and Jello's wide open from the three, we'll allow him to take it.
So the oldest saying, at least since I've been watching basketball, is defense wins championships. And I feel like in the UAP that's still the case. When you look at the last few finals between Ateneo, UP, and LaSalle, the defense, you can just see it clearly goes up a level when it comes to the games that matter most. Games that end in scores of 80 something to 80 something suddenly become 50 something to 50 something or 60 something to 60 something. The pressure is a little heightened. The open shots don't feel as open anymore. The easy layups don't seem as easy anymore. The calls you're getting in the elimination rounds aren't there so often. But with the way basketball is played now, too, particularly in college, where teams often get points and transition opportunities, having a great offense can be a great defense because instead of allowing your opponents to get long rebounds running on the break, they're taking it out of bounds. You can set up your defense. You can press if you want to. Would you say two questions there? One is, would you say that the disparity between the importance of defense and offense when it comes to winning big games, it's narrow now compared to how it used to be? And two, we've talked a lot about your team's offense and the spacing and the free flowing offense and playing with instinct. But defensively, would you say you guys are ready to take it up a notch when it's required?
I agree with you, Naveen. Your offense, well, I see it more of a balance. There's a saying like what you said that defense wins championships, but if you cannot score, you also cannot win a championship. Okay, so there's the balance wherein your offense helps your defense and your defense helps your offense. How good your defense is, you might be able to force turnovers, you might be able to force opponents from shooting bad shots, helps your offense because you can run, you can turn turnovers into turnover points. At the same token, um, if your offense you don't get to execute your offense very well. You take bad shots. It allows the opponent to run, and you'll have a hard time setting up your defense. So I think it's really the balance of both. I don't favor just really pure defense or favor pure offense. I like looking at it as one part of the game that complements the other. You need offense, you need defense.
And in terms of stepping up the team's defense when it matters the most, you think this team, your current team, has an extra gear on the defensive end to do it?
taking a look at our last game, I think we played a very good defense against Ateneo. I'm not sure what their field goal percentage was, but I think it was below 35. And that says a lot about half court defense. The only thing that we could have improved on, I think, was our transition defense and just finishing the job defensively. I think they had 33 offensive rebounds. Uh, but yeah, their field goal percentage, you'll also allow a team to get offensive rebounds if you lower their field goal percentage because you give them more chances of getting offensive rebounds. But I'm happy with the field goal percentage we gave Ateneo during that game. I'm
So
not sure
just
if you have
for
the stat there with you. Yeah,
yeah,
if it's below 35
28% shooting for Ateneo,
total field goal,
include
was that the total field goal?
total, yeah, including 9 out of 43 from 3-point range. And in terms of the rebounding battle, they had 73. You guys had 76. UST, on the other hand, 96 total field goals attempted. And out of those 96, you guys converted 35.4%, 8 out of 40 from downtown. And free throw shooting, you guys were 22 of 40. So if you want to find an area of improvement, I guess that's one of them, right? I am
Yeah, but
curious though. Yeah, go for it,
if
coach. Go for it.
you shot 28% from the field, then I think that's a good stat.
Definitely. Defensively, you guys got the job done. And you did a good job limiting the two best guys too, which are Ladi and Escobar, who combined 8 out of 38 from the field. And sometimes when you can take away the best options on the other team, you put yourself in good position to win. I am curious about something, coach. The first game of the season, Ateneo FEU, with the amount of 3-point shots both teams were taking and making, I thought it was going to start a new age of basketball in terms of analytics, the importance of the three versus the two, and how the math catches up. And we're starting to see to some degree in the PBA, not as much as the NBA, where some teams take more threes than twos at this point. But in the college game, it hasn't quite caught up yet. Do you think that's more to do with the lack of 3-point shooting league wide, or just because coaches still trust that their players attack the rim more and be aggressive trying to get into the paint?
I think trying to get to the paint is still the priority. Maybe it's just that in the pros, they protect the paint a little better than college. So now, if like for example, if you're Nick Cabañero bring down the ball and you see space, you're gonna take it all the way. But like maybe in the pros and in the PBA and the NBA, where you have guys really there protecting the paint, you have shot blockers, rim protectors, so that maybe the other option is after attacking and you see an open teammate in the 3-point line, you want to spray it out. So that's why I guess aside from a lot of threes, you'll see still a lot of 2-point field goals here in the UAP.
Definitely. And also, when you have a dominant big man inside who you can get the ball to, it can be very helpful. Now, you guys are 4-1. You've had 3 wins against UP, LaSalle, and then Ateneo. Was there any point in any of those games where the flip kind of switch in terms of the thinking, that instead of saying, oh, we can be a Final Four contender, the thinking started to become, we can beat any team in the league?
Our mentality is really to whoever is it that we're facing, that's who we focus on. We don't really want to look off. Of course, we mentioned about the big picture where we're gonna get to after the elimination round. But after that, we're just focusing really on one game at a time. Whatever the result is, we try to move on, work on the things that we need to work on and improve on. So like even today after Ateneo, our focus is just purely on FEU. No one's really talking about, getting to the Final Four or trying to get the twice to beat advantage. But it's just really the smallest of details and smallest of things that we need to work on that will help us in the long run.
If you guys are just joining us, we're talking to Coach Juno Sauler, assistant coach of the UST Growling Tigers and of Magnolia. in the PBA. And in case you guys are looking for a good coffee option, check out Cooper's Coffee House. I highly recommend the matcha latte or the brown butter latte. Coach, I definitely need to get you to try that one time. Have you tried it? Cooper's Coffee House?
Not yet, not yet.
Okay, I need to get you to
I
try
have
that.
my own coffee maker in the house, but I think I should try one. Send me one over.
Definitely. I got you. What's your coffee preference? Are you a black coffee drinker? You like it with milk? You like
I
it
just
kind
take
of
it
sweet?
black. Yeah,
Oh, you
but
just take it like
I'll do sometimes. I'll do latte sometimes.
okay, okay. We'll make something happen. Let me get on the phone with some friends to get you. They don't have a yellow drink. They have a green. If you still have that Lasal
That's
roots
fine.
in you,
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
get you a matcha or an ube. The ube is also something worth trying out. But Coach, I'm not sure if you're gonna agree with me on this, but sometimes I feel like the UAP is more of a sprint than a marathon. You're not playing an 82 game regular season. Once the season starts, I mean, because if you count the off season, then it definitely is a marathon. But compared to the NBA, you're playing an 82 game regular season. The PBA, you have three different conferences. In the UAP, it's 14 games. Then if you get into the final four, you can be out in one game or you can advance, and then the finals can be over just like that in the best of three, right? How do you keep the focus concentrated for the college players at the task at hand, given how quickly things happen and how tight the margins are when it comes to league-wide competition can be, particularly this season where the top of the league looks more balanced than it's been in recent years?
A lot of it has to do with our mental approach. Um, so that's why we have to learn how to move from one game to the other. It's just a realization, we were done already with 5 games and just two games left. It will be the end of the first round. So that yeah, you're correct. That's how quick the season is. So we just have to remind our players daily that we have to after one loss we have to learn how to move on. After one win, we have to learn how to move on, and that's how fast it's gonna be. Before they know it, it's gonna be second round. Before you know it, it's gonna be start of the playoffs. Before you know it, you might be eliminated already. So it's just a daily reminder of keeping that focus and keeping the goal and the purpose of why they're all here.
Now, Coach, there's something I want to ask you as well, because when you came on the podcast a few months ago, we had a discussion about the importance in the grassroots level of Philippine basketball to avoid going with zone defenses and learning how to play man-to-man defense, which was something that uh, um I feel you're still passionate about. But at the same time, too, both in the PBA and in the UAAP and the NCAA too, we're seeing more and more zone defense than we ever have, at least for as long as I've been covering. I'm not sure if you have seen the same, but almost all UAP teams at this year, I feel like I've seen them play zone of few possessions compared to like maybe a few years ago when maybe one or two teams would try it just to turn things around, change the flow of the game. Why do you think that is? Why do you think, and this is the case in the NBA too, is it because of the added shooting all over the place, the spacing, there's more ground to cover, and when you have lengthy guys, you can play a zone to cover more ground on defense?
Don't get me wrong, Naveen. It's not that I'm against zone defense. You'll actually see our team, UST, will throw in that zone once in a while. We'll probably have throw in a 3-2 zone. Sometimes we'll have a 2-3 zone. We'll also have a matchup zone once in a while. But
Yeah.
it's just really when I decided to have that advocacy of stop playing zone for the youth level. It's really more of having them improve their decision making skills, which I feel won't help the youngsters very much if you're exposed to zone the whole time when you're playing. But yeah, NBA teams, PBA teams will throw it once in a while. Depends on their purpose, maybe to throw the other team off tempo, or you can do it because you have a lot of you're facing a lot of non-shooters, or you can also do it because you want, like what you said, you want to cover more ground when there are a lot of shooters. So it's really what your purpose is when you're playing zone. So mine is just really to probably disrupt the offense. If you're facing a very good team who runs their offensive system or offensive sets very well, you might want to throw in a zone. But Just for the youth level and for them to improve their decision-making skills, I'm against it.
But in terms of the competitive basketball in college and the pros, is that the main reason why zone is more apparent now? Because just to switch things up and give the offense a different look.
Yeah, I agree with you. There are lots of talented players. You want to run, for example, you're facing a player who's a very good pick and roll player and can attack any type of scheme you throw him. Sometimes by switching to zone, they decide to run something else and go away from that pick and roll with that good pick and roll player. Then you've done your job just by zoning. Then once you see them breaking your zone, you want to man and wait until they start running that possession again with that ball pick player or an ISO player who's very good or a post player like Junmar Fajardo. Then you start switching again to a zone. So lots of reasons why teams do it, and they're all valid.
Before we get to the mailbag questions, what was it like being part of the triple overtime game? Have you ever been in a triple overtime college game before, or was that your first time as well?
I still remember I was a player for LaSalle, maybe 93 or 94. I forgot the name of the league, but it was a preseason league. Our game was in Rizal Coliseum. We were playing against UP, and that was a triple overtime. I think we had, I think most of the players fouled out. I think we only had six players left, or six or five players left.
Wow, that must have been quite the event, and you still remember it until today too, which tells me that you guys probably were tired after the game, shall we say?
Sure, even the game last Saturday against Ateneo, even just coaching that triple overtime is really tiring. So you could imagine the players. When I was watching the game online, and you'd see guys from the players, Ateneo players, cramping up. We had some guys already who started to feel it. So that game really just going to three overtimes really got the best out of everyone. But like what I mentioned after the game, it was a character building win for the team, but it could have gone to any team, for just going three overtimes. So hats off also to the Ateneo team and the Ateneo players for getting us to that level.
That's gonna go into the UAP Classics archive. That's for sure. It should.
That's why I
Now,
told the
let's
players during the second overtime or third overtime. I said, I know you guys are tired, but you gotta enjoy the moment. You'll never know when you'll get to play in another triple overtime game. So you just gotta experience and enjoy the moment.
and it was the first ever game at the newly renovated Blue Eagle gym as well. So it added a layer of mystique. It felt like a home road game where, to be fair, the UST community showed up as well at the Blue Eagle gym, but it gave the sense of how college basketball games in the States are, the home and away format. And with the way you guys have been playing at UST too, I'm sure there's an extra layer there.
Yeah, but really the atmosphere last Saturday, or in front of us, you'd see a sea of blue, and then when you turn your head, you'd see a sea of yellow, and the crowd, both sides, was really loud and wild. It's great atmosphere and great experience.
Okay, let's get to some mailbag questions here. First from Edward, a diehard UST fan. How has everyone bought into the team? And the wounds of seasons past. These are tough tigers? Question mark. Also, well, when we're gonna hear from Coach Pido, I don't know, Edward. Maybe at the end of the season. But I guess Coach Juna, the question here from Edward is how did you guys get everyone in the team to buy in to what you're trying to accomplish this season?
I think it started yeah, maybe during Phil Oil. Um, there was one game wherein we just kept going up and down, and I think when they saw the potential of that kind of game, that's where they started to feel, hey, we have a chance if we play this way. Um, Another reason I think why they bought into the system was that they just enjoy playing one another. We just keep basketball, our system very simple. If you're open and you can make the shot and shoot it. If you cannot because someone else is defending you, pass it to the next available teammate. If it's open, go and shoot it. It's that simple. Then from there, we just try to put in some concepts wherein there'd be some movement, whether it be a cut, a ball pick, or space, whatever that may be. And from there, they just got to see the things that they could do offensively. And by giving them that freedom, I think that's one reason why they started to buy into that system.
Next question from Justin. How is Boss Ol Francis like behind the scenes? Is he active, going to practices and watching the team? He definitely looked active the other day against Ateneo.
Boss Al's always there for us. The support that he's been giving to the team. He'll usually be there, start of the season, maybe give a talk to the players. This year, he was in the US when we started the UAAP. But after every game, so we had our first game against UP, LaSalle. He would make a call, a video call, while we're in the locker, and he would send his congratulations and his message. So like as soon as he arrived, he was here when we had our UE game. I think he just arrived that evening before the UE game the next day. He already showed his support, was there in UE. He'd be giving inputs to Coach Pido, to the coaching staff, pre-game, halftime. He'd talk to the players in the locker. He's very active, and the players like it when they feel and see his presence. So like even last Saturday with Ateneo, he was already there right from the start in the locker, in the huddle, giving his inputs, giving his motivational message to the players, and it's been helping us a lot.
What's a motivational message from Al Francis Chua like? What words does he use?
Uh, we're all basketball players. It's a 5-on-5 game. If it were 5-on-8, 5-on-9, 5 versus 9, then you might be afraid, might be hesitant, but it's a 5-on-5 game. You're a basketball player. It's that simple also. It's also the same system that we apply. It's a 5-on-5 game. He's a human being. It's all equal. Nothing to be afraid of. If you're open and you feel it, just shoot it. Same message. So if he sees a player that's down, he'll get that player, bring him to a corner and talk to him, and uh, all motivational, inspiring, and uplifting words.
Fantastic. I'm sure that some of the magic he tries to put on Ginebra works to some degree in the UAP. Coach, thanks so much for the basketball knowledge, the basketball wisdom. Much appreciated. You guys are doing such a splendid job this year for UST. And I think safe to say the way UST is playing and you also, Ateneo to some degree, it's really given an extra jolt to the UAAP community just because it adds more firepower to the overall championship and Final Four picture, which makes the season so exciting. Every game day, it's become really unpredictable. You have no idea what you're going to see next. And the ultimate winners when it comes to that are the fans of college
Yeah.
basketball. Yeah. Well, coach,
Well,
go on, go on.
yeah, like what you said, we're just there in terms of the standing. But even our game on Wednesday, I was telling them, the record of FEU,
Mm,
1 win and four
1 and
losses,
4. Yeah.
1 and 4. But they've lost
Three
overtime
of
against Ateneo,
yeah.
3 points against UP, I think 2 points against LaSalle.
LaSalle. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just the win-loss record, but you can never say the lowest ranked team, like we played UE, they haven't won a single game, but I think we were down during the half.
Yeah.
And so that was the message to the team earlier. Just because you have a 3 or 4-1 record doesn't mean that it's going to be a walk in the park when you're facing a team that has a 1-3, 1-4 record. So like what you said, lots of surprises. You can never say. We've seen seasons wherein the lowest ranked team beat the number one ranked team, and all of a sudden you see the standings in chaos because of what has happened. So those are lessons and things that we need to remember every ball game.
For sure. And even that Adamson game, I think you guys haven't played Adamson yet, right?
Yeah, that's our last game for the first round.
Yeah, and even that team, even if their record shows that they're 2-4, they're probably gonna come in with rest and some energy and motivation to end the first round strong, and they're not gonna be a walk in the park. So,
Yeah, I think we
coach,
We played
Yeah.
them 5 times in the preseason, and we've lost 3 games.
Including the championship for Asia
Yeah,
Basket,
including the
right?
championship. Yeah. So
Yeah.
cannot take
Con-
any team for granted, really.
All right, coach, before I let you go here, episode segment called Life Corner. What story do you have for us to share? Something that you maybe experienced recently to enjoy life outside of basketball.
Basketball related, or does it have to be?
Non-basketball related, yeah.
Uh, what I've been doing recently is just playing a lot of golf. So what was fun also when LA Tenorio joined the Magnolia Hotshots. And LA's coach LA has been also playing lots of golf. So during our Magnolia team building in Inspire in Laguna, we were able to play 2 rounds with some of the assistant coaches. We had Paul Sorongon and Tony Boy Espinosa also join us. So yeah, maybe after the UAP season, we'll see more golf with Magnolia coaches.
Are you the Colin Sakoe of golfing, coach?
What does that mean?
It means can you hit long range? Is it
No,
putts?
no, no.
Long range or
I'm
not
uh
yet?
I'm not a very good golfer. My purpose really in golf is to get my daily steps. I try to get the minimum. I have a goal, a daily goal, and just by playing 1 round of golf makes me achieve that goal. Whatever my score is in goal, I'm happy as long as I get to walk and enjoy the company.
Quick question: did you tease Xavier and Javi a little bit when UST beat UP in the opening game? Those are two UP icons, shall we say?
You know what's funny? For every team except NU, we have a player in Magnolia. So for UP,
Mm.
we have Zave and Javi. LaSalle, we have James Laput. UE, we have Paul Lee. Ateneo, we have Rafi Verano and Gab Gomez. FEU, we have Mark Baroka. And then Adamson, we have Jerome Lastimon.
Jerome. Mm-mm.
Yeah, so you can imagine after practice. So like today, there's teasing already. Me and Mark started teasing, and then after the game, when we see each other again in practice the next day, there'll be a lot of teasing. So you can just imagine how the environment is. Not only me, but Coach Mon Jose, who's part of the coaching staff of
DLSU,
LaSalle.
yeah.
Yeah, so lots of teasing and joking around in practice because of our connections with UAP teams.
So before you play a UAP game, do your players in Magnolia who are from the other teams tell you good luck, coach, or are they like I hope you lose?
Their players will say, "Good luck, coach," the friendly ones. And there
Yeah.
are some naughty ones who'll say, "I hope you lose, coach."
Who's the
I won't,
naughtiest one?
I
I have
won't
to ask.
mention any names, but that's
Why
how
do
it
I,
that's how it is in Magnolia practice.
why do I feel like it's Xavier who's a little naughty to some degree? Xavier is
But Zave's a
super.
trash talker. Zave's a
He
trash talker.
is. He loves to trash, and he's super competitive.
Super, super
Super
competitive.
competitive, and the way he's playing so far the last few months since you guys got him has just been crazy. He is gonna be a PBA Mythical first team sooner than later, in my opinion. Crazy. Well, for me, coach, I'm not sure if you saw in our group chat, but I moved to this new house about what's the day? October 13th. So tomorrow is going to mark 2 weeks officially. And I came from a condo that was 35 floors up, technically 33, because my condo didn't have a 13th and 14th floor. The 13th, I get. The 14th, I'm still wondering why. I should have asked before I left, right? But when you're that high up, you're less likely to probably have insects at home compared to when you have a house, right? Which is more grounded and closer to, let's say, like the canal or areas where insects might go. So when we moved into this house, I was like, it's inevitable at a certain point. We're gonna see a cockroach at home, and my wife is gonna come running because that's just how it is. My wife, one of the bravest women I know, cannot deal it when there's a cockroach. Has to leave the room. One time we were in a car and there was a roach in the car, and she was like, "Stop the car! I need to get out right now." And it was just a funny story. So anyway, last night, Sunday night, and this was about like 10:30, 11 p.m. maybe. I'm lying down on the couch, done with my UAP work, finally relaxing after a busy weekend, and I hear her shouting my name, running up from downstairs to the room upstairs, shouting my name. And immediately I'm like, okay, what happened? Because she's also pregnant, so she shouldn't be running to begin with, right? She comes in and she just blurts out, cockroach, cockroach, cockroach. So I go down, and coach, I'm not sure if you've ever experienced this. When the cockroach leaves your sight, you just have a hard time finding it again. It's somewhere there, you know it, it's somewhere in the area, but you just can't quite locate it. And you get the broom out, maybe you get the bygone out, and you just can't find it. So we were at it for like an hour trying to find this little friend of ours that showed up uninvitedly, and we couldn't find it. It was probably the most anxious night of sleep so far since we moved here. I know that sounds so spoiled to some degree, but it's true. I'm the resident find the roach and get rid of it, right? And I was so disappointed. I took that personally that I couldn't find the roach yesterday. So this morning we woke up, and what's the first thing we decide to do? We go back down to the living room, try to find it, cannot find it. Until now, we still haven't been able to find it. So if you guys see a roach somewhere here in the background while I'm recording with Coach Juno, just laugh at the comments, I guess. But anyway, the case of the missing roach to be determined. Story unfinished. It was just quite funny though. I mean, those little moments in a marriage just and you've been married for a while, I'm sure you know this. Those little moments are the ones you don't always forget, but during an instance where something sparks your memory and makes you remember it, you just have to laugh at it, right?
Hey Naveen, but talking about your new home, I'm just looking at your background, the shelf,
Yeah.
the books. It's almost just the same as mine,
Really? Yeah, actually. Oh yeah, that's so true.
with books and with the wooden
And
shelves and
the
with the
wooden,
plant.
the earthy tones.
Do you see my plant
Exactly.
also?
I do. So let me show the people my plant. Have you watched Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah, but I can't remember. Oh yeah, I know that
It's
character.
Groot.
I know
I
that
am
character.
Groot. Adorable. Yeah, well, what are some of the books you're reading now, Coach? Because I know you're an avid reader, and it saddens me to see a lot of fully books close down or get smaller. I hope people continue to read on paperback or hardcover. What are you reading now?
Um, uh, it's a good book actually for coaches or for teachers. But I have a Kindle, so I most of the time I use my Kindle. Uh, Teach Like a Champion by Doug Limov.
Oh, okay.
He was quoted by Joe Mazzulla of the Boston Celtics when they won the championship. I was able to find a video of that, and then when I heard Coach Joe Mazzulla mention that book, I tried to get a copy. You'll see some YouTube videos also on him. So for some aspiring coaches or teachers, if you can try to get a copy, he has several books already. But it's more on teaching, and I think not only Joe Mazzulla of the Celtics, but a lot of NBA coaches have read his book and have quoted him.
How many books would you say you've read this year?
Very little this year. There used to be a year where my goal was one book a week, but having to do two practices a day, and then having to, just by having one team and then having to watch the games of that team, all of a sudden multiplies by having two teams, having to watch like this week we have a game Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so it really takes your time off from reading. But any break that I have, I try to read as much as I can.
Well, if you're not driving and if by any chance you have a driver, I guess you could read while you're on the road too, considering you might get stuck in traffic to some degree.
No, I
Um,
like when I'm on the road, I get dizzy when I read. So I'm
I
more
see.
of
Yeah.
like watching YouTube and anything that I can learn. I'll go to that. Reading gets me dizzy.
So this one is what I'm reading now. It's called The Secret of Secrets. Not sure if you guys can see this. It is by Dan Brown, the latest Dan Brown novel. He's first in 8 years. I'm not sure if you ever
Yeah, Dan
um
Brown was the one who wrote
the Da Vinci Code. Yeah,
the Da Vinci Code. Yeah.
exactly. Well, it's interesting so far. It's set at Prague, at least in the early chapters, and it talks about consciousness and the term precognition, at least from what I've read so far, and how precognition is more real than many of us imagine it to be. So I'll update you guys once I finish that book.
That sounds interesting. The Da Vinci Code, I think the setting was also in Europe, maybe in Paris. I think they were talking about the Louvre.
Yes, the Mona
There was a
Lisa.
movie, yeah, the movie with Tom Hanks, but the book's a good read.
Absolutely. Any Dan Brown book. The last one he wrote, Origin, I still remember that. A lot of interesting concepts there that has proven to be true, including the theory that eventually all mankind will develop into a new being where we become hybrids with robot and machinery.
Wow.
And before you guys laugh at that, just realize how often do people nowadays have their phones in their hands or
Yeah.
earphones in their heads, or many of the athletes, the Whoop bracelets, right, that calculate their numbers. So just imagine 30, 40, 50 years from now how much more machinery and technology will be attached to our bodies, and thus we end up developing into a new breed of human beings. Well, this podcast took a turn for the interesting side of things. Coach Juno, thanks so much for joining me. It's always
Thanks,
great to
Naveen.
talk to you. Best of luck, you
Likewise.
guys. You're doing great this season, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you much, Naveen. Thank you.